about crooked cops in prison. The question came up before. You ever meet a crooked cop in prison? Yes, but only at the camp. The police officers in question were a group of undercover drug cops and some uniformed police officers of Chicago. And since we were in southern Illinois, that was considered far enough away that they could be away from their sphere of influence with the police and yet be close enough so that their families could visit. And these guys, there he's moving the house now. These guys, what they would do, they tried to ingratiate themselves constantly with the staff, me included. And they knew that I was a former police officer, so they were always playing up on, oh, you was a cop, and we was a cop, and and all great, togetherness and that kind of stuff. Kind of making it as they were one of us as opposed to one of the inmates. So one time this guy, they called him Catfish. I have no clue what his name really was. Old Catfish comes up to me. He says, I used to be a cop. I said, yeah, I know. And I was, what kind of cop I was? And I said, there was a difference between him and me. That's what he was trying to say as far as being a policeman. And I'm pretty sure he was trying to tell me, he was a big city cop and I was just a little town cop. And I said, yeah, I know the difference. I was one of those, honest cops. And he didn't like that too much. We had an incident where one of these Chicago cops was committing some minor infraction. And what we can do is we can do something called informal resolution. There's a formal resolution where I write you up. I actually submit a report on your misconduct. Wait for the truck to go by. There's a road right behind this camera. Anyway, if you commit an infraction that's minor enough, I can not write up the incident and the violation of the rules if I so choose. And what I do is I work out some informal resolution with the inmate. In other words, you clean something, you perform some task in addition to your regular duties over a certain period of time, and then we call the resolution done. And you don't have to go before a disciplinary board. It's kind of like when the cop pulls you over and says, dump out the beer, mister, and I won't arrest you for drinking it as you're driving down the road, or having an open container in your car, or if you're a teenager, he catches you, dump the beer, kid, and I won't arrest you. It's kind of the equivalent of that. So I worked out an informal resolution with some guy, and his thing was to go out and pick up leaves. Now, what I mean by pick up leaves is not take a rake and go out into the yard and scrape up all the leaves. What I mean is you get a bag and you hold it in your left hand, and then you reach down and you pick up a leaf with your right hand and you place it into the bag. And you do that for the 15,000 leaves that are in the front yard. And yeah, it takes you 4 or 5 hours to pick up the leaves. So old Catfish got to come along and says, oh, this is humiliating. I said, well, he agreed to it. Well, why don't you, Catfish, take your little cell phone down the sidewalk here and mind your own business? Well, this is, he's part of my clique, and yeah. And he used to be a cop, like you and me used to be cops. And I said, no, don't play that game with me. Number one, I don't like your ass because you're an ex-cop who gave us a dirty name, and you're nothing more or less than a criminal who had a badge. So that's the way I looked at it. You're not an ex-cop, you're a current convict who was dealing drugs by stealing from other drug dealers, and you were a gang of policemen, and that's the reason they ended up in federal system. Was it's illegal to use the, quote, color of the law to commit a crime. So you're using your gun and your badge to get away with crimes, and that's what this Catfish and his crew had done. So anyway, he starts whining. I said, tell you what, I'm going to write you up for interfering with my duties. Oh, don't do that. I said, then fine. Then grab you a broom and start sweeping off this sidewalk. Oh, that's humiliating. Fine, I'll just write you up. Oh, I don't want to be wrote up because then I can't get this and I can't get that. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Oh, I said, and since you're whining, I don't really want you to just sweep it anymore. I want you to mop the sidewalk. Oh, I said, keep bitching and I'll just write you up. Matter of fact, keep bitching and we'll just lock you up. We'll send you across the road to the lockup detention. So what happens was, his buddy continues to pick up the little leaves like I told him to and we agreed on. And old Catfish ends up sweeping and mopping the sidewalk. And his buddy came by and I saw him open his mouth, and I said, if you open your mouth, when he's done sweeping and mopping, I'm going to have you put the wax on the sidewalk, and then we can watch you buff it. And then he just turned around and walked away. You know, I'm not there to be your friend. I'm there to maintain control of the institution and enforce the rules. And I'm not buddies with any of the cops that commit crimes and come there. As a matter of fact, I like them right about at the same level as I do child molesters. Because if you're a police officer and you're stealing drugs from a drug dealer and then you're reselling them, you're far worse than a drug dealer. We have given you special trust and confidence, giving you a badge and a gun, and this is the way you repay us, because apparently the Chicago police don't pay enough. You need to make extra money selling drugs. So yes, there was one of the incidences that I've had with criminal cops in prison, but as I said, this is only at the camp. They consider this a non-violent crime because drug dealing is a non-violent crime unless you actually shoot anybody during the commission of it. And using your gun and badge to get over and be a better or more successful criminal than other people have the ability to do is a federal crime.